Hey, question. You here? Are you here? No. Back up just a little bit. It's just a question. Just making sure that's you. Whoa. And it is. You are here. And we welcome you to the Paul Leslie Hour. Paul will be checking in with our West Coast correspondent, Dave Hooser. Now, Dave has just attended Keep the Party Going. It's a tribute to Jimmy Buffett at the Hollywood Bowl on Cahuenga Boulevard in Hollywood, California, April 11th. Hey, watch it, listen to it, check out it. And then leave your comments, make your suggestions, subscribe, and for goodness sakes, hit the like button. Okay? Now Dave's here. Let's watch together. And by all means, keep the party going.
Well, Dave Hooser, our West Coast correspondent, he has just attended the Jimmy Buffett tribute at the famous Hollywood Bowl in California.
Yep.
And Dave, you were telling me the other day, you said, I'm just so excited.
Mm-hmm.
When did that excitement start to wane?
When did it start to wane? I wouldn't say it ever waned. I would say I was pretty excited. The second I bought the tickets, I texted my mom and I said, "You only live once." And the excitement didn't stop until after the concert, really. And you can ask my coworkers; they were sick and tired of hearing me talk about this concert and the lineup. I had sent like everybody the lineup card that I sent you as well, with all the people that were going to be there. So it was a really exciting event.
So you were telling your mom about it, and this interests me. Would you say that Jimmy Buffett music was something that you heard early on, or when did you become exposed to the musical stylings of Jimmy?
It's funny you asked me that. One of the first songs I ever remember hearing ever is Margaritaville. I remember I was in my dad's van. He had like this gray Dodge cargo van, and I don't know why I remember that. I just remember the rhythm, and I remember Margaritaville, and I couldn't have been more than 5 years old. This must have been early 90s. And Margaritaville was one of the first songs I ever remember hearing. Not that I knew who Jimmy Buffett was or anything like that back then, but yeah, I really didn't start getting into Jimmy Buffett until probably, I don't know, 5 years ago, down in Atlanta. Always walking on the Beltline and, through Piedmont Park. And you would always give me song suggestions by him, and I would just listen to him. And the more I did, the more I got into him.
Now, Dave, would you say that there is a particular reason that you like Jimmy Buffett? Could you possibly put it into words?
I think he's a great songwriter. I think he's a very underrated songwriter. A lot of people associate Jimmy Buffett with just sort of this trop rock vibe. He's got all these, tropical songs. And I think the more people listen to some of his other songs that aren't necessarily about, drinking pina coladas in the Caribbean or something like that, the more they'll really start to appreciate his music. I really think he's an underrated songwriter. Yeah, I think he has a lot of really different styles. Again, I know he's known for this trop rock thing, but I really think people should listen to the whole albums and not just Margaritaville and Cheeseburger in Paradise, his more well-known songs. But if they really listen to his other stuff, it's really, really good.
So you mentioned this absolutely star-studded cast of musicians who were performing the other night. Take us through the experience. What's it like for you as you're finding your seat, you're getting your bearings, you're looking around at the crowd? What's going through your head, Dave?
Well, I'll tell you, when it first initially started, I took the shuttle down. I stayed in Burbank, and I took the shuttle down to the Hollywood Bowl. And I wasn't sure I was in the right place, because there's a shuttle that goes directly to the Hollywood Bowl from there. And I was like, I'm not sure I'm in the right area, like when I was parking, and I look over at the line and everybody's got a Hawaiian shirt on and a parrot on their head, and everybody's just laughing and having a good time. And I was like, okay, I'm in the right place. And I get to the Hollywood Bowl, and it's a great venue. The Hollywood Hills are the backdrop. Really, really cool venue. And everybody is just having a great time. Everybody's laughing. Everybody's got a drink in their hand. Everybody's wearing some. I had a boat drinks shirt on, a yellow boat drink shirt on, and everybody's got some kind of parrot on their head or something. And you can just tell everybody is just excited to be there. I went and I get my seat. The girl next to me, we just start talking. She's like, "Have you ever seen Jimmy before?" I said, "No. But this is the best I can do now, obviously since he's passed." And she's like, "Where are you from?" I said, "Atlanta." And she was like, "From Florida." And so people had just come all over the country just to be a part of this concert. And it was just a really, really special evening.
Well, Dave, you mentioned a drink. I'm going to
You
pay
got one.
I'm going to pay tribute to Atlanta. You see
A
that?
little Coca-Cola. I like that. Unfortunately,
Coca-Cola.
I don't have anything. All I have is Sam's purified water right now. But are you mixing that with something?
Well, it's all about a classic tonight. Can you hear
a little Jack and Coke?
Yeah, how'd you know?
That's a classic to mix with Coca-Cola.
A Jack and Coke. So tell me, what was the first song, Dave?
The first song was "It's 5 o'clock somewhere." Well, I'll tell you, before that, it goes quiet, the lights go down a little bit, and all of a sudden, I don't know who sings this. It's getting hot, hot, hot. That song comes on, and everybody just starts going crazy because they know it's about to start. Then the Coral Reefer band comes out, and they do "It's 5 o'clock somewhere," and I believe it was. I forget how to pronounce this. McAnally.
That's right, McAnally.
He led all the songs. That it was just the Coral Reefer band, and so yeah, they started off with 5 o'clock somewhere, and then it was really cool because after they got done with pretty much each of the songs, they had a celebrity guest come out. So I think the first one was Woody Harrelson. And then after that was Harrison Ford, and then Jane Fonda, Will Arnett. I mean, they just had all these celebrity guests come out, and they all told a story about how they knew Jimmy, and some of them were absolutely hilarious. About Harrison Ford got his ear pierced because of Jimmy Buffett. Just some hilarious stories. So yeah, I think they went right into Grapefruit Juicy Fruit was the first celebrity singer. I think it was Jake Owen who did that. And then they brought out, Kenny Chesney and, oh man, Zach Brown and Timothy B. Schmidt, who's, you know very well as you've had him on this show. But yeah, I mean, just everybody just kept coming out, and you're just like, man, can this get any better? And it just kept getting better.
That's great to hear, Dave.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, you mentioned these famous people who were telling their little Jimmy Buffett connection story and reminiscing a bit. Was there any of those that you thought, oh, wow, it just doesn't get better than this? Look at that. Look who walked out.
I'll tell you what, it was Will Arnett who just absolutely had everybody dying laughing because he told this story, and the second he comes out, he's like, I know I'm exactly who you all were expecting, because everybody's like, how does Will Arnett know Jimmy Buffett? And he told this story about how he was down in the Caribbean with Jimmy, and his wife, I believe, is Jane. And Jimmy's like, hey, I got to go get certified for this flight, because he was a pilot as well. He had his pilot license. And he was like, I got to go do 30 takeoff and landings. And he was like, do you want to go? And Will was like, yeah, I'll go, I guess. And then Jimmy's like, great, I'm going to go get changed. I'll be right back out. And Jimmy's wife leans over and goes, dude, Jimmy's been in like 3 plane crashes. You do not want to do this. And so Will said, he's like, yeah, I bailed, made up some excuse for why he couldn't go. And it was just, it was a hilarious story, but they all had one. Again, like the Harrison Ford got his ear pierced, and he's like, Jimmy Buffett was so cool, and his coolness rubbed off on you so much that I got my fucking ears pierced because of it. He's like, I was a 40-year-old man who got his ear pierced because of Jimmy Buffett. So they all had stories like that. It was just so funny.
Yeah, and
But I will say the common thread between all of them was how kind he was and how just how much he loved life. I think it was Kelly Slater, who's a surfer. They also had like videos of people who couldn't make it. I think it was like Dave Matthews and a couple other people. And Kelly Slater told a story about how Jimmy had invited him on like a fishing trip, and Kelly, for whatever reason, just like didn't feel like going. And Jimmy said, you know, man, you really should take advantage of these opportunities because you're not going to have them forever. You should always like, go on these opportunities when they arise. And Kelly said, Jimmy was keenly aware that life is fleeting and that you need to live every day like it's your last. And he really did that. So the common thread with all the stories was just how kind he was and how full of life he was. And it was really cool to hear.
And Dave, didn't you possibly see a little bit of yourself in that? Because here you were taking a chance, going out there to the West Coast, following a story.
Yeah, I'd never been to LA, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. I had a bucket list that I had when I went out there that I wrote down. And yeah, I would say I saw myself a bit in that, and that it's just the spirit of Jimmy Buffett, just living every day like it's your last. Like like I said earlier, I texted my mom that you only live once, and so yeah, I was just I went out there and just did all the things on my bucket list, and just had the time of my life. It was such a great experience. I'm really really happy I went. It was not a cheap trip.
No,
By any stretch of the imagination, but it was something that I'm really glad I did. In about 3 years, I'm going to be really, really thankful that I went on that trip.
I think so. I think you're going to be thankful even sooner than that.
Yeah.
Now, Dave, was there a musical highlight of the show?
Oh, I mean, the whole show is a musical highlight, but I would say for me personally, when I saw Zach Brown and Dave Grohl do Brown Eyed Girl, which for some reason, I think a lot of people think that that's an original Jimmy Buffett song. It's actually a Van Morrison song, but I think Jimmy did a cover of it, if I'm
That's
not
right.
mistaken. And so because I'm such a big Van Morrison fan and I love Zach Brown, I love Dave Grohl, watching them do that was probably my personal highlight. But I will say the person I was most blown away with was Brandi Carlile when she did Tin Cup Chalice. Absolutely floored by her performance on that. And then she did another one, Come Monday. She did Come Monday right after that. And she just absolutely tore the house down. It was amazing. She was really, really good.
Wow.
And then obviously everybody wanted to see Paul McCartney and the Eagles. I mean, that was like probably the highlight for most people. But Paul only did the one song. He just did Let It Be, which I think a lot of people were kind of disappointed at. And he didn't do any Jimmy songs until Margaritaville, when everybody came out at the end and did Margaritaville. And then the Eagles did 3 songs, but no Jimmy Buffett songs. They did all Eagles songs.
Well, Michael Utley, the leader of the Coral Reefer Band, the musical director, he told me the day of the concert, and I wanted to get your reaction to this. He said, Jimmy will be smiling on us. Yeah. What's your reaction to that?
I think it was, you texted me something. You said Jimmy will live on through his music. And I think Kenny Chesney, when he came out, that was one of the first things he said is Jimmy's going to live on through his songs. His spirit and just his way of life is going to live on through his songs. And yeah, I mean, you just get that vibe that everybody really believed that there. Yeah, he's just, man, I just loved hearing all the stories about what a great guy he was, how kind he was, and just full of life, because it really is inspirational. Because I mean, that was just like why I went down there is the spirit of Jimmy Buffett.
Another question for you. How do you think the music of Jimmy Buffett and the Coral Reefer Band will survive? Will it?
Oh, it'll definitely survive. somebody said it last night too, that, there's never going to be another Jimmy Buffett. Just he's just such a unique guy, the way he lived, his music, his influence on pop culture. It's absolutely going to survive. It's just a way of life. And I think everybody loves that way of life and wants to aspire to be that. But yeah, Jimmy Buffett's his spirit's going to live on for sure. You and me are going to keep it alive, if anything.
What do you think people can learn from Jimmy Buffett?
Just not taking things too seriously, because I think that's kind of what he's all about as well. And just going and trying new things, new experiences in life, and just living life to the fullest. I think that's what his songs are about. His songs are inspirational. They just give you such a great feeling.
Was there any song you would have loved to have heard, but you didn't the other night?
Boat Drinks.
Boat Drinks.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite songs by his. And unfortunately, they didn't do it. But, there's only so many songs you can do.
Right. Now, I don't want to get too off topic here, but just give us a few of the other things that you did when you were out there in California.
Oh man, what didn't I do? I had every detail
Dave,
planned out on this trip.
It's a family show, okay? No.
Let's see. I climbed to the top of the Hollywood sign, which is a bucket list thing of mine. I went to Venice Beach, had In-N-Out Burger. I went to the Dresden Room, which I believe you've also been to the Dresden Room, if I'm not mistaken. Went to Chinatown for a little bit. Walked around downtown. There was lots to do. And I did everything I could possibly think of on that list. And I did not waste a single. I didn't have time for a nap or anything. But yeah, I think my favorite thing was probably climbing to the top of the Hollywood sign. You get like a 360 view of LA, and man, it's just an incredible thing.
And what about maybe the top two things that you got to eat, because you are a gourmand?
Indeed. I would say In-N-Out lived up to the hype. It was absolutely incredible burger. I got it animal style. Everybody told me I had to go out there and get an animal style. And I would say the steak burger I got at the Dresden. It was an open-faced steak burger with some like arugula and then like a house-made sauce they put on it, and just French fries. And I had an old-fashioned with it, and just sitting there listening to jazz. Maybe it was more of the ambiance of the restaurant than the food, which I think is almost equally as important. But yeah, I would say the In-N-Out burger and then the steak burger from the Dresden Room was really my top two there. But it was all good. I ate at a place called Felipe the Original. It's kind of like on the edge of Chinatown there. It's like the original French dip. That was absolutely fantastic too.
Well, I've come to trust anything that you say when it comes to places to eat.
We've shared many meals together, you and I. We've had lots of lunches.
That's right.
Where'd we go last again? We went somewhere just not too long ago, a couple weeks ago.
This was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It was at the Korean.
Yep, that's correct.
The Tofu House.
Yeah. You and your wife, and we all went, and it was great. I never would have went there without you.
Right. But it was good. I'm glad you liked it. So
phenomenal.
So Dave, I always like to give my guests the final word.
Yeah.
For anybody who's joining us to hear your summary about this Jimmy Buffett concert, Keep the Party Going, what would you say to anybody who's tuned in with us?
Well, definitely go check out more Jimmy Buffett songs than you've heard. I know you know Margaritaville, you know Cheeseburger in Paradise. Go check out, Tin Cup Chalice. Go check out, Son of a Sailor, Son of a Son of a Sailor. Go check out A Pirate Looks at 40, and just kind of experience different Jimmy Buffett music, because he's got such a good variety. And I know he's known for the trop rock thing, but he's got such a good variety of music. And I think it's really important to just keep his music alive, because I think it's such a way of life. It's so inspirational that I really, his music needs to live on. And it's people like you and me and just Jimmy Buffett parrot heads, I guess, we call ourselves. It's up to people like us to just kind of spread the message and spread the music.
Well spoken.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Do my best. Yeah, of course, man. Thank you for having me on. I think this is my second time now.
That's right.
Let's start charging you.
People can check out the first interview for more of Dave Hooser.
Yeah.
It was David then.
It was David then. I think that was 5 years ago, maybe.
Right. It's been a while.
It has been a while. But yeah, thank you for having me on, man. I had such a great time, and hopefully maybe I'll even write like a Paul Leslie style review and maybe put it up somewhere.
You should. Absolutely.
I think people would be interested in it.
They absolutely would. I know they would.
Yeah, for sure. So, but yeah, I'm really happy I went. It was such a great experience. I know you wish you could have been there.
I absolutely wish I could have been there. But I'm glad you got to go.
Yeah, of course.
All right, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you, bud.
The Paul Leslie Hour is made possible by people like you, listeners, viewers. Please go to thepaulleslie.com/support, and you'll know what to do when you're there. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who contributes. Performance of The Entertainer intro song by John Primorano. And of course, this is your announcer speaking. See you next time on the Paul Leslie Hour.